Hey, before we move on to more examples in Visual Studio, I want to introduce the arithmetic operators. Now, as a quick reminder, we have unary and binary operators. A unary operator operates on one operand, and a binary operator is going to operate on two operands. One operand will be to the left of the operator and one will be to the right. Or in other words, we'll have a left-hand operand and a right-hand operand, with the operator in the middle. With the unary arithmetic operators, we are mainly concerned with the unary minus operator. The unary plus operator is going to return the value of the operand. In other words, if you have some variable x and you do the unary plus operator followed by that variable x, then that is going to return the value of the operand back again, in this case x. So this is redundant. Then the unary minus operator is going to perform negation. In other words, it's going to return the operand multiplied by minus 1. So if you have some integer variable x which we initialize to 1, and we apply the unary minus operator to that, we're going to get minus 1 back from that operation. But if we initialize x to minus 1 and we apply the unary plus operator, then we will get minus 1 again. But in the case where we apply the unary minus operator, that operation will return 1 because minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 will give us 1. A quick example in Visual Studio on the unary arithmetic operators. I have int x and I initialize that to 1. Then I have a console output statement here where I print out x. So instead of doing a literal such as 1 or some string here, I'm printing out x. Whatever value is stored in x is going to print out to the console. Let's do the unary minus operator, in other words the negation operator. And you can see that x is 1, right, initialized to 1. So this should print out minus 1 now. I'll just do Ctrl F5 to build and run. And it prints out minus 1. Now let's say we initialize x to minus 1, then this statement right here should print out 1. Okay, it prints out 1. Basically, if you remember, the negation operator is going to multiply that value by minus 1. So minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is going to give us 1. Let's go and change this, so I'll do the unary plus operator. Build and run and we get minus 1. So that operator is going to return whatever the value is. It's not going to actually modify the operand, in this case x. We will cover some of the binary arithmetic operators in the next video. I just wanted to show you a quick example of the unary arithmetic operators. Next we have the binary arithmetic operators, and in the table here you can see that we have plus for addition, minus for subtraction, and we use the asterisk instead of x for multiplication, similar to how you would do it in Excel, for example. Then the / for division, and that operator will yield the result of division. Then you also have the modulus operator, which will yield the remainder following division. Now I would like to note that we are going to cover division and modulus in an upcoming lecture in more detail. Interestingly, the modulus operator uses the percentage symbol, and it works only with integral types. Another interesting thing is that the plus, minus, multiplication and division operators are overloaded to work with integral or floating types. So basically those work with different types, whereas the modulus operator only works with integral types. As I mentioned, we will cover the floating point types in the next lesson. Since we are discussing the arithmetic operators in this video, it's important to mention arithmetic operator precedence. You may remember this PEMDAS acronym from school. In the table we have listed what each character means. So P is for parentheses. We have an example, so we do 3 times 2 plus 3, that is done first, and then we do exponents. Then we do multiplication, then division, then addition, and then subtraction. Here we are basically forcing 2 plus 3 to calculate first, that is before we do the multiplication. Okay, you can basically use that PEMDAS acronym in C++ as well, because whatever is in brackets or parentheses, in other words, will be evaluated first. Multiplication and division is done before addition and subtraction. You can use the brackets or the parentheses, in other words, to force the included expression to evaluate first. Now what if we have the same operators in an expression? Well, same type operators in an arithmetic expression are evaluated from left to right. Here's another quick example. In the main function we have int width initialized to 3 and int length initialized to 4. Then I declare an integer variable area which is uninitialized, and so it will contain garbage unless we initialize it. So in the next statement we go and initialize that too. Width times length, we have the multiplication operator, and the operands here are width and length. Left-hand operand is width and the right-hand operand is length. That expression width times length will evaluate and we will get a value back from that. And we will assign that to the variable area. In this instance we will initialize that variable area. But of course, later on in the program, we can change the value that is stored in the area variable by using some assignment statement again. And as I've demonstrated, we can use variables in cout statements, so not just literal integers or strings or characters and so on. We can also put variables in there. That'll basically fetch the value that is stored in that variable. So in this example, area represents some integer value that is stored in memory, and that integer value in memory is going to get printed out to the console in the cout statement. Okay, we'll look at a couple of examples in Visual Studio in the next video.